In Robins issue number 5, the Robins are put into a simulation where they see how their lives play out if they never met Batman. Just to set up context, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Damian Wayne, and Stephanie Brown are all trying to look for Tim Drake, who has gone missing in the series. I don't want to spoil too much of the comic because it's only 6 issues and I think it's a really good read, but yes, Tim Drake has gone missing. Stephanie was investigating a lead they had, which led her to talking with someone named Lydia Arbuckle, and she saw a light emitting from her eyes, with Lydia asking Stephanie if she won before being taken away by guards. Stephanie went to her apartment to investigate shortly after, and found a case filled with little drives designed to have implanted narratives. They believe that the person behind these drives wants them to play the game it holds, with the prize being the location of Tim Drake. Dick Grayson tells them they're going to play, and he uses the first narrative drive. Before I delve into each of their narratives, I want to stress that these are what-if situations, and they could be accurate or completely wrong, so take these all with a grain of salt. Me personally, I feel like these narratives could work, but what-if scenarios are always shaky to me. They could always go a million different ways. But yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest. Let's continue. So for Nightwing's narrative, if he never met Batman, it shows that he becomes a spy called Agent 37, working with Helena Bernelli, who is typically the Huntress in DC Comics. It then shows Damian's narrative. It starts with him cleaning and discussing inner peace with his fellow monk here that he calls his brother. It then shows Stephanie Brown's narrative, where she still becomes a superhero, not a Robin necessarily, but she's the leader of the Teen Titans, which in this narrative looks like it consists of Blue Beetle, Aqualad, and Supergirl, some serious big hitters. It shows them taking down a member of Hive, with Supergirl crashing into Beetle and Aqualad, and Stephanie having to clean up their mess. And then it shows Jason's narrative, which, in his, he grows up to become a race car driver who just won a Gotham Raceway contest winning $300K. He tells a reporter that he's going to donate all the money to the Catherine Todd Recovery Center. He talks about how his mother died addicted to drugs and wants to try and make a difference so that doesn't happen to other people. It then cuts to Grayson again, who's in Markovia doing a mission with Helena. The mission is to do an in-person drop with their contact. Anyway, they run into some issues with the contact. The contact is someone that hates Grayson and would likely not work with them if she knew who he was. So in order to resolve the situation, Grayson uses his Hypnos implants he carries to complete the mission, which I think distorts his face to make him look different. It looks pretty goofy though. Anyway, the mission's a success because of it. However, using that implant, Grayson starts seeing the Robin logo appear in front of him. Grayson, after the mission, goes on to try and investigate what the symbol is, with Helena telling him that he's just suffering from the delusions of the hypno implant he used. Grayson tells her that's too real and proceeds to leave to investigate. Helena tries her best to try and get Grayson to stay, but it doesn't work and he leaves. The story proceeds with Damian, who's talking to himself, who tells himself that if any intruders hurt his brothers, he'll unleash hell upon them. He then gets ambushed by Stephanie and Jason, holding him down. It's a pretty funny exchange they have here. Grayson then appears and uses his hypno implant on Damian, which makes him remember his real self, which presumably he did to Jason and Stephanie earlier on as well. Stephanie explains all their fake lives to Damian and explains that they realize that their narratives are based around what Batman thinks their lives would have been if they never became Robin. Jason adds on saying that Bruce thinks they would have been happy if they never became Robin. Damian believes that his father allowed his children to suffer, with Grayson refusing to believe that, saying that's what somebody wants them to believe, and there's more to it. The Robin logo Grayson saw earlier pops up again. He explains that every time he sees that, it points them to the right direction, which is why he was able to find all the other Robins. They see a red Robin, which is a clue from Tim Drake. More birds appear, with all of them following the birds so they can go to their respective narratives. Grayson tells them that they will reconvene once they have leveled up enough to get the ultimate prize. It then cuts to them all, waking up out of their illusions back to the real world, with all of them playing it through to the end. And all of their illusions turn out to be dark endings for them in the end. For Stephanie, she pushed the Titans team away from the Justice League. Superman asked her to reel them back in, but she told him to go to hell. There was a fight in which they lost, and nobody would trust her after that. For Damian, he tried to reach enlightenment but couldn't. He grew frustrated with his teachers telling him to leave. He then attacked his brothers, hurting them, making him return to his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul. For Jason, he stopped winning his races and needed to find a way to make money for his clinic. He took a side job which involved stealing cars until he was caught and thrown into jail. And for Grayson, he lost himself. The lies, the lack of clear rules, the inability to trust himself all led to his downfall. Just based off that panel, it looks like he's a drug user as well. Grayson realizes that they weren't just there to catch Batman before he falls. Batman catches them. I really like this dialogue because it shows people that the Robins needed guidance. They could have all ended up going a depressed path like Bruce did, but Bruce gave them purpose to fight their demons and to become better because of it. I'm not saying that these scenarios they had would be their definitive routes without Batman, but nonetheless, it helps to prove the point. It works both ways as well with Batman since he became a way better person because of the Robins. Grayson asks if they won the game, with Jason saying that they didn't because they weren't there for each other. However, a sudden light appears, with it saying that they won and they can accept their prize. It then cuts to the person speaking, which is the antagonist of the story, who has Tim Drake captured and trapped, preparing her plan to stop Batman, as well as the Robins, once and for all.
I didn't lie, exactly. I just left out the part about being a kid.
A lie of omission is still a lie. You kept an important secret from us. No one in the League knew the truth.
I did.
I shouldn't be surprised, since you indoctrinated Robin into crime fighting at the ripe old age of 9.
Robin needed to help bring the men who murdered his family to justice.
So he could turn out like you?
So that he wouldn't.